I still remember the exact moment my parents looked me in the eyes and told me, "You don't deserve any help." It didn't feel like a sentence. It felt like a knife. And the worst part? They said it while standing in the doorway of my sister's room, where she was excitedly packing her brand new suitcases, because they had just gifted her $80,000 to study in Paris for a year, $80,000. Meanwhile, I was asking for a tiny fraction of that to help me stay enrolled in a community college 30 minutes from home. The contrast was so sharp it made me dizzy. Tell me honestly, if your own parents told you something like that, would you have stayed? For a few seconds, I just stood there like some unwanted extra in the movie of their lives. My sister twirled around with her shiny acceptance letter, practically glowing under the praise my parents showered her with. I wanted to be happy for her. I really did. But it's hard to feel joy when you're being told, essentially, that you aren't worthy of the same support. I asked them again, choking on my own voice, why she deserved help and I didn't. And my mother didn't even blink. She just said, "Your sister has potential. She works hard. You've always struggled." Something about the way she said struggled, like it was a defect baked into me from birth, lit a fire behind my ribs. My father stepped in with his trademark disappointment tone and said, "You should be grateful we raised you, but don't expect us to fund bad decisions." My dream of getting even a modest degree somehow counted as a bad decision. But if I'm being honest, this didn't all start that day. The pattern was always there, hiding beneath the polite surface of family life. My sister Mia was the golden child, the one who got straight A's, danced ballet, took fancy art classes, dated wholesome boys from good families, and always knew how to sparkle just enough to earn our parents' praise. And me? I was the shadow child. I got decent grades, but not perfect. I loved writing and photography, which my parents called cute little hobbies. I was quiet instead of charming, awkward instead of graceful, practical instead of dreamy, and every time something went wrong, in the house, anything from a broken vase to a misplaced receipt, my name was the first one they called. Not because I did it, but because I was careless, the child who didn't think. When I turned 16, I wanted a cheap used camera. My parents told me toys were for little kids and I needed to focus on real skills. That same month, they bought my sister a 1-200 violin because she said she felt artistic. When I turned 18, I wanted help applying to colleges. They handed me a stack of pamphlets for community colleges and said, "These should be doable for someone like you." But when Mia applied to a fancy university out of state, they paid for private tutoring and flew her out for campus tours. Looking back, it's almost funny. Every sign was there. I just refused to believe my own. Parents could choose one child over the other so openly. When I graduated high school, I enrolled at community college because I could afford it. I worked part-time at a small cafe, saved every dollar I could, and still fell short. After 2 semesters, my financial aid changed because of unexpected adjustments, and suddenly I was a few $100 short of being able to register for classes. My parents had just spent thousands renovating the kitchen, so I thought, stupidly, that maybe they could help me with literally $600. I rehearsed my pitch in my head all morning, trying to make it sound reasonable. I thought if I told them I'd pay them back, they'd see I wasn't irresponsible. But the second the words left my mouth, my mother sighed like I was asking for a kidney. My dad raised an eyebrow like he already suspected something disappointing. They didn't even discuss it. They just said no. They didn't ask why I needed it. They didn't ask if I was okay. They didn't even pretend to care. So I trudged back to my room, trying to tell myself I was overreacting. And then came the Paris announcement. My sister was accepted into a study abroad program connected to her university. It wasn't necessary for her degree. It wasn't essential. It was just something she felt would be culturally enriching. My parents celebrated like she had just been crowned queen of the world. They took photos, ordered food, and even popped open one of the expensive wine bottles that they said were for special occasions. Only, when I found out how much they were giving her $80,000, I nearly dropped the plate I was holding. Something inside me snapped. Maybe it was years of being overlooked. Maybe it was knowing my whole life had been shaped around managing their disappointment. Maybe it was realizing they weren't incapable of helping me. They just didn't want to. So I asked again. Not kindly this time. Not timidly. I asked them why Mia deserved an all-expenses-paid Paris experience while I was being told that a couple $100 was too much. My mother practically scoffed. My father crossed his arms. That's when they said it, that I didn't deserve help, that I hadn't earned anything, that I needed to stop expecting handouts. I felt like I was watching a movie of my own humiliation. I thought about screaming. I thought about crying. I thought about begging, but instead, something inside me grew incredibly calm. Scary calm. I told them, okay, that's all I needed to know. My mom frowned, because she expected a meltdown. My dad nodded, satisfied he had ended the conversation. My sister didn't even look up from her clothes. That night, I packed everything I owned into 2 suitcases and a backpack. It wasn't much. Clothes, my cheap laptop, my notebooks, a few childhood keepsakes. I waited until everyone was asleep, then quietly walked out the front door. My heart was pounding, but the air outside felt fresher than it ever had. I didn't have a plan beyond leave, but God, it felt liberating. I took a bus across town and slept on my friend Sam's couch for 3 weeks. I felt guilty for taking up space, but Sam insisted I stay as long as I needed. That was the first time in my life someone made me feel like I wasn't a burden. Those first few weeks were tough. I worked extra hours, applied for scholarships, and sold some of my old things online. Slowly, painfully, I managed to enroll again using my own money. No help, no handouts. And for the first time, I wasn't waking up to comments that chipped away at my worth. I was exhausted, but I was free. Around the middle of all this chaos, I kept asking myself the same question I'm now asking you. So that's the situation I was in. A family that clearly chose favorites, parents who believed I was undeserving, and a future I had to build alone. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second and tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you have stayed and tried harder to earn their approval? Or would you have walked away like I did? Now here's where things got interesting. About 6 months after I left, my parents called me, not to apologize, not to check if I was alive. They called because they needed something. Turns out my sister wasn't enjoying Paris as much as she thought. She was homesick, overwhelmed, and apparently terrible at managing money. She burned through the funds faster than expected and needed an additional $20,000 to finish the semester. My parents assumed I'd help since I wasn't paying rent living with Sam. They didn't know I had moved out into a tiny studio by then, paying rent with the money I made from juggling 2 jobs. When my phone rang and I saw my mom's name, my stomach flipped. I answered because some part of me still hoped they cared. My mom didn't even ask how I was doing. She immediately launched into how family supports each other and how I needed to step up for my sister in her time of need. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just burst out like air escaping a balloon. I asked her why I should help someone when they made it so clear that I wasn't worthy of help myself. She paused for a moment, then said, "Don't be dramatic." That was different. Different. The word hit me like ice water. They could justify anything if it wasn't in their favor. My dad took the phone and started lecturing me about loyalty, responsibility, and respect. The same man who told me I didn't deserve help was now demanding I give it. Something about the hypocrisy was almost comical. So I told them the truth. I didn't have the money. Even if I did, I wouldn't give it to them. And then, for the first time in my life, I said something I never thought I'd be brave enough to say. "You lost the right to ask me for anything the moment you told me I didn't deserve help." My mom gasped, like I had slapped her. My dad called me ungrateful, but I didn't care. I hung up. They tried calling again for 2 days straight. I blocked their numbers. My sister emailed me once, saying I was being selfish and ruining her future. She said Paris was her dream, and I was standing in the way of it. I didn't respond, because here's the truth I had finally learned. I am not responsible for fixing the messes of people who never cared about mine. Paris eventually became too expensive for my sister, and she had to return home before completing the program. My parents blamed me, obviously. They told relatives I abandoned the family. Some relatives believed them, some didn't. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because without that constant judgment, I flourished. I finished my degree, got a stable job, and built a life where I wasn't constantly trying to prove my worth. I go to sleep without anxiety and wake up without dread. I have friends who love me, coworkers who respect me, and a tiny apartment that's messy in a comforting way. For the first time, I feel like I belong somewhere. And the biggest surprise? After living independently, I realized I didn't need their validation. I never did. All I needed was the chance to breathe without someone telling me who I was allowed to become. Sometimes I think about that night I walked out. I wonder what would have happened if I had stayed. How much of myself I would have lost trying to earn love that was never going to be given freely. Leaving didn't just save me. It taught me that family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by who shows up when life gets hard. So here's where I'll leave you. Looking back at everything, the favoritism, the rejection, the hypocrisy, I don't regret cutting them off. Not for a second. But I'm curious what you think. Like this video if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this. And share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll see you all in the next story.